What's up, guys? It's your favorite Bajan and Ethiopian goddesses, Mercedes, Nat, and Sarah Seaside. Yay.
Yay! And welcome back to Fine Line with Sarah and Merc, episode 5, our last episode to end season 1.
Boo!
Boo! Guys, we're so excited. We hope that you guys have loved our journey, and we're ending it with a bang. We're talking about something that's very, sensitive or touchy. Conquering our identity. That is what we're talking about.
Pretty much that. Very much that.
Very much that. This conversation actually goes back to a couple of years ago, you would say.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, when we first started being friends. And it basically started with us just talking about who we think we would end up with, or just kind of like what we look into for a partner or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Merc at the time, she said, I remember this, she was like, I feel like I will end up with a black man. That's who I think I'm going to marry. And I was like, oh, that kind of like triggered something in me, because I was like, I don't have a face for the person that I think I'm going to end up with. And it kind of freaked me out, because at the time, you know, Merc was like, this is who I think. I was like, how do you know? And she was like, I just know. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, why is it bothering me so much that I don't know who I'm going to end up with in terms of like race and stuff like that? And that kind of just like leads into the fact of like, I have a really weird relationship with black men and the black community. And I think you kind of do too. I mean, not weird, but like, you know, a complicated relationship, I should say. And I went through a lot of soul searching from that conversation between us. Very much that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very much did not know that.
Very much, because it bothered me, because, you know, before we get to our questions, because I always thought that I always was attracted to white guys. And it's not that I didn't find black men attractive. I do. I do now. I did then. But my issue was that, like, I was just afraid of them, and afraid of not only black men. It then led me to think that I was also afraid with black women, like black girls in high school and middle school, elementary school, that just never accepted me. And it was just really hard.
Wow.
Very much that. So
it's so crazy. Yeah. Real quick, also, my opinion on that is kind of changed, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could talk about that a little later, but
yes.
Yeah.
We just wanted to let you guys know where it came from, and just making sure that everyone understood the mindset we were all in. So, growing up in your community, what was your relationship with your blackness? Right.
Well, let's start that Barbados is predominantly black.
Right.
Right. Come on now. Pure poo. So, at first it wasn't a big deal. Like, I just grew up, you know, chilling, whatever. It was only when I went to secondary school, what you guys call high school, that things became, you know, not black and white, but like there was a little more color. Right. And there's more evidence of different dynamics. And I was now more aware that people expected you to be a certain way if you were black, expected you to be a certain way if you were white. There was no in between. And I mean, I was lucky enough to gain the in between later on, but in the beginning, like, I mean, I think you could attest to this too. Like, because even now, oh my God, it ties into now. Okay, let me get down to the meat of the matter, right? So,
right.
First and second form, which is around 13, 14 for us. I was just kind of finding my space, and I found like little people that I got along with. Around third and fourth form, I started hanging around people that were outside of my race. And you know, when you're around people, you speak a certain, you can adopt their attitudes, adopt their behaviors, adopt the way that they speak or whatever. So that's what happened. I was around people outside of my race. And the truth of the matter is, there is a fine line. there is a fine line, because I'm not gonna lie, there was a period where, not that I wanted to be white, but some of my behaviors were it was almost like I was trying to fit into a crowd. It's like when you're trying to find your place, basically. That's what I was trying to do. And so you hang out with different people to see if that's where your vibe fits, right? Yeah. And then from that, I realized that I'm well spoken. I like to speak a certain way. I like to carry myself a certain way. Mm-hmm. I very much could switch up if I need to switch up and do what I gotta do. Like when push kind of shove, it is what it is, and you know what I mean? Like I could do what I gotta do. But at the end of the day, and I'll bring this back full circle to where I am at now. I like to speak a certain way. I like to carry myself in a certain way. And the thing about that I'm realizing with Black people is some of our community doesn't take pride in ourselves. So it's that we're either lower class or we don't know how to carry ourselves. We're uneducated. And I mean, a lot of that has been eradicated, right? But back that time, like, I was called an Oreo, bougie, like all that. And it was just like, what are you talking about? Like, ugh. And to this day now that I went to LA and I came back, the same thing I've talked about in the earlier episode, like, why are you talking like that? Like, why are you But this is how I speak. Like, if you knew me before, you would know that the only thing that sounds different is that slight American. But I always spoke well. Yeah. So if I'm always as opposed to someone who speaks Bajan, I never spoke Bajan all the time. Yeah. So if you have someone speaking Bajan all the time, right? Yeah. And then they go to the States, it's less likely for them to move their accent. But my standard English was very close to the American accent. That's why I got my GAP. So GAP, by the way, is General American in the state. Yeah. That's a voice and speech thing, whatever. Yeah. And so it was easy for me to get that, right? Yeah. And that's what people don't understand. I always spoke well. Yeah. So it kind of messed with me a little bit because, you know, at that time, like they wanted, I guess, you know, me to be bougie, me to be an Oreo, wanting to be white. Like, bitch, nobody ain't thinking about that. Who wants to be white? Not that anything wrong. Like, I want to be me, you know? Nobody's thinking about it in a race aspect. That's what I mean when I say who wants to be white. Like, nobody's thinking about that. They're just thinking about finding themselves. People are just thinking about finding themselves and who they are. I mean, at a young age, people are not thinking like that, but subconsciously, that's how I was thinking. So, I mean, it's changed. My relationship to my Blackness has changed. I feel like it's nothing that I need to shout about because it's there. I praise it because in a time where it's not honored the way it should be, I praise it, but it's such a big part of who I am. Like, I feel my ancestors' energy with me. I feel what Blackness represents, and I'm extremely proud of it. Like, it's in my veins, it's in my blood. I can't even explain to you how, but you know. So that's kind of where I'm at now with it, but it took a minute to get there. You know what I mean? That was a lot. I feel you.
No. Like, it's fine. I was gonna say that. Like, I was gonna add on to your thing and then explain like where I was coming from growing up. But you're also a writer. So I feel like that plays a big part in how you speak. Like, you speak in colors. Like, you don't talk basic, so that's very much the vibe, and like that's where I think. And also, you love like American TV shows. Like, I probably adopted from that, so it's like that's just what it is. And you know, my family's from Ethiopia, and I'm like a first generation American. So I was born in Chicago, and I lived in Chicago for like 6 years, north side of Chicago, and then I moved to the suburbs when I was like 6, obviously. And there's a lot of white people. A lot of white people in the suburbs. There's some Black people, like people from around like different races that live here. However, I like it kind of goes like deeper than just like, oh, I'm Black and I talk a certain way and people just bullied me for it. It was more of like people would bully me for other things even when I lived in Chicago or when I visited Chicago. And I think like that really like hit me in a certain way, and it was kind of rooted, and then I kind of brought that to where I live now. And it was one of those things where I just never like felt accepted. Only a few Black people accepted me, and it was weird because like I just wanted to be friends with people who look like me. Like, I just wanted to be friends, and people would just like make these judgments about me before they even knew who I was, just because of how I spoke, how I looked. Like, you know, my features are different. Like I have big eyes, I have a smaller nose, I have height cheekbones. Like people just like thought of me as like a weirdo. I didn't even know. And so it was just like, it was really weird. And I just talk like this because I talk like this. It has nothing to do with where, like my skin color, like, you know, it has nothing. And I realize that now. Because I was always like, why do I talk like this? Even my mom would be like, Sarah, you talk white, you talk American. I'm like, Mom, that's just how I talk. Like, I just talk like this. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, some of my cousins talk like how I talk. Like, that's just what it is. And it's very much like the environment you live in, I guess. But I also feel like even if I grew up in Chicago where there is more Black people living there, I would still talk like this. I genuinely don't feel like the way I would talk would change because this is just who I am. And it's like, I'm not going to try to fight it. And in college, even like my best friend at the time was like, Sarah, you talk white. And I was like, girl, what does that even mean? Like, what is talking white even mean? Like, I don't even mean to be that person who's like, white's not a color, Black is not a color. But truly, like, what does that mean? Just because I talk like proper or whatever, or I don't even know what the wording would be. It's like, why are we associating Black people with talking like not well spoken? Like, why is that the association when it comes to Black people and white people? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where the conversation came from. But it's just really weird how that turned out. But now I'm like, I don't care. I talk like this. So I talk.
Exactly.
Period.
So obviously, like you said, you grew up around a lot of white people. You know, you grew up in the suburbs too. So what kind of people were you attracted to, like holistically, like on every level? What kind of people were you attracted to?
Like I said in the beginning, it was very much just I liked white guys. My friends, all my friends were white. Like that's just what it was. And it wasn't because, once again, it's not because I wasn't attracted to Black men or wanting Black friends or anything like that. It's because I generally felt like I was being pushed away from people I just wanted to get to know. And it's not just because they look like me, but because I feel like we can relate to a lot of things. Like, and so because of that, the only people that would talk to me were white people. And not saying white people weren't mean to me. There were a lot of white people that were mean to me, but it hit differently. Like the way white people were.
Oh yeah, no, that hits different.
And Black people bullying me, I was like, this just feels really weird. Like none of this is like, it's not fun. It's not cute. So obviously, like, I think up until college, I was more attracted to white guys versus Black guys, if that makes sense. But then in college, that changed.
Yeah.
Very much that. I wasn't looking in college. I wasn't for college. I wasn't looking for, it wasn't like, oh, a white thing or a Black thing. It was more just like, oh, I like you. I like you.
That vibe.
How about you?
I think I was I've always been attracted to energy. And so even if, I mean, if you want to look at color, like I said, where I'm from is predominantly Black, right? I mean, we have Asians, but there is a very minority. We have white people, obviously. And in school, I think it was more about like there were things that people of other races like that I also like. So I was able to talk about, you know, certain things that, you know, with Black people, I can talk about. Because where I'm from, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, that's just what it was. And my interests are vast, which is why this is what I love about America. There's so many different types of people in America.
Yeah.
And which is why I consider LA one of my homes now, because when I came back here, I was so appreciative of the vast amount of people that I met and that changed my life and that I could talk to about anything. I mean, anything under the sun. And I didn't feel limited, which is one of the reasons why I knew my soul always wanted to go overseas. Because here felt limited. The things to talk about, the things to discover, the things to explore, the conversations I was having. And when I went to the States, immediately I just started to attract even more like-minded people. So it started from a young age where I was just attracted to energy and talking about different shows, like talking about, like, even acting is not where I would like it to be here. Like art is not where I would like it to be here. Art is not honored or used the way it should be here. Like, and the people here are so talented. And one of my biggest things that I want to do is to make sure that Barbados's artist gets on the map. That's a big goal of mine. Like when I go anywhere, I'm bringing them with me,
Right.
And so that's why I'm so excited. Why I was so excited about the people I attracted back then. And I'm a little ashamed of some of the things that I did because like they were out of alignment. But who knew about alignment at like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Girl, bye.
Right.
Who knew about that? But now, like, the people I attract are just like-minded people, which is why I'm so like, I'm just attracted to like-minded people. Like, never mind race or anything like that. Which is why, like I said, we'll talk about it later. But the thing about my partner changed. But anyway,
very much that, very much I love it. And shout out to that. Like, that's very much me. I'm like, guys, very much is our new thing. Anyway.
Yeah, it is.
I was gonna say that I'm like the same thing when it comes to putting Ethiopian people on the map. Like, yes, we have The Weeknd. Yes, we have Mega, but like we don't have, like, we need more people. And yes, we have Rihanna, but we need more of Asians. We need more Asians, right. So going off of that, I want you to more expand on how did those, you kind of mentioned it, but how did those relationships affect you?
Like from then till now?
Yeah, like, you can kind of go into the whole conversations about like how your image has changed, about who you think you're gonna end up with, and because of what you went through, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Yo, so this is crazy, but I found out after school, and I really don't care because we're literally adults now. We're literally 25 years old. It really does not matter. But there were apparently me and my friends, by the way, we are all Black women, 10-year friendship on Peer Poo, actually 11-year friendship. But I found out people thought that we were like better than them or like all of that. But the thing about me and my friends, shout out to them, they know who they are, our group, and we literally were just minding our own business and always having fun. Like wherever we went, we brought a party. Like my friend Achilles, she would play the drums. Like me and my other friend Melanie would be singing and making up raps, and it would just be a vibe. Like we would create a vibe for the class. Every time I butt up on somebody that's like from back in school, they're like, "Oh, I remember you guys used to play," and da 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 da. We literally just created a vibe everywhere we went, and we like just loved each other so much. Also, we were way ahead of our time. We used to have like these honesty circles where we would talk about our feelings, and we figured out our dynamic, and we figured out how to be genuine very early, right? So those relationships just I carried that as a root way to deal with any relationships, which is why I have a lot of relationships I have now, because I've always come to them with honesty. So they affected me in a very positive way, even the ones that I had with people outside my race taught me to express myself honestly, no matter, because the expression does not have a label. It's not limited to one thing, and so that bled into now. And even though there was discord when I was in LA sometimes, because obviously I have cultural differences to other people, 75% of the time it felt like, especially when I'm with you, it feels like right. Mm-hmm. And the only time, and I'll be really honest about something, the only time it doesn't feel right is when I think about what other people think about me. That like literally I'm like, this is how me and Sarah are, like I'm in the moment, but then I think like because there have been a few times where my friends have said it's weird to hear me talk like this because it's not what they're used to, and I get it, but I'm changing, right? So it affects me to that point where like I'm thinking like I don't want them to think that I've changed, but I've explained this so many times. Like I'm studying acting. They're asking me to do American, like that is the reality. And so and for the most part, they've accepted me. What about for you?
Ooh, love all that you just said. I think it very much like, I hate that we did all that, but those people who just pushed me away, I think, because I was just like, no one likes me. Like, guys, I swear, like people who just know me from college and know me now, like people just know me now versus the me in elementary school all the way to high school, I'm the same person, but people just refuse to get to know me. And because of that, like, I didn't realize how special I was. I didn't realize how cool and fun I was, and how like especially my senior year, I realized like, oh, hold up, like I'm actually really like the best thing in the world. Like I'm really fun to be around. People loved me. The people I had around me like loved me, and I wasn't ashamed with hanging out with who I was hanging out, because I'm not gonna force people to like me. If you don't like me, you don't like me. And like I grew up in a town where like it was like the schools, like we all kind of went to the same school, like everything, we all just knew each other, so there was no like making new friends and like getting to know people. It wasn't like, and it's a small town, so where are you gonna go? Like it's not like the city where you can keep finding new things to like about people and everything. Like there's no growth happening here. So of course I was stuck in a mentality where I didn't feel like I had something to prove, because I was like, I'm just gonna, people just know me as Sarah, like that's just what it is. I'm gonna be stuck like this for the rest of my life. Like it is what it is. But however, that kind of just like changed when I was in my senior year of high school and then transitioning to college, because I was like, no one knows me here. Now I can show the real me, like the real Sarah who loves to be silly and goofy and weird and fun. And people responded positively from that, like from who I was. And I was like, wait, I'm actually, like I said, like I'm actually really cool. I'm actually really fun. Like, and I think because of that, it changed my perspective and how I saw people as a whole. Like not only did people change when they noticed who I was, but I also changed the way I looked at people. And I wasn't afraid to be friends with Black people, because I was like, I'm you, I'm Black, I'm literally you know, I'm Black, I'm literally you're one of my best friends, you're Black, like, and you're from Barbados, like 2 different places. I'm from Romeoville, you're from Barbados, very much different places. So it's like, it's just insane to see like how comfortable I am around people and how much people have changed, and that it really just came from something that was just like so childish. Like,
so how did college change that for you then? Like after all of that, how did college change your relationship with your Blackness?
Okay, yeah, college, like I said, like just meeting new people from around the world. Like there's some South Africa, Brazil, Barbados, like just everywhere, Italy, the UK. Like there's so many different people from around the world that look like me. And it's weird because you would never think that we experience the same thing, but we do. I mean, look at us, 2 different people from 2 different places, yet we experience the same BS, period. And because of that, that just, from that conversation from the beginning, like it just made me realize that I have a lot growing up to do, and I just need to just like accept who I am and just love who I am. And I'm still growing. I'm not perfect, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'm never gonna hide who I am like ever again. Like that took so long for me to realize that it was something deeper than just, oh, I like this boy versus this boy. Like it's much deeper than that. So yeah, college really helped me a lot. How about you, girl?
Yeah, girl. So I'm gonna get real for a second, but it's so crazy because everything changed in terms of like everything was now I was hyper aware, because America is definitely that place that race is always the topic of conversation. And in our classrooms, in our classes, it was always brought up. There was always tension. There was always heat. There was, you know what I mean, passion, and it's gonna be there. That's the reality. Like the tension is real, right?
Right.
And I think I felt more powerful. This is where I started to step into my art. I really started to understand my voice. I really and my voice is Black. It's a powerful Black voice, and I say that because it's a variety of my experiences and my thoughts and my feelings and my ancestral line. Like that's, I can feel it in my voice when I speak. It's not just me speaking. I'm speaking for a whole freaking generation. So even I was having a conversation with a friend and we were talking about it, and I was like, and she was telling me a story, and then I thought to myself, I was like, but Merc, why are you putting that and this is after I dated somebody of my race, and I was like, oh, I think I want to date somebody Black. And that's because I had like this, how to put this, I had like this awareness that I might be dating somebody that was Black. That's where that had initially came from. But then I was starting to make up all these reasons as to why I wanted to date somebody Black, right?
Right.
And the truth of the matter is that because I'm also afraid of Black men. I'm afraid of men, generally speaking, but predominantly I'm surrounded by Black men. And that's something I've been dealing with, my fear of men. And I don't mind saying it out loud because I'm conquering it. So peer proof. And and so yeah, at one point I was like, you know what? Face it head on. But the truth of the matter is that I cannot predict and I do not know. And to say is to limit, you know, because then when you run up, because I believe in soulmates, I believe in twin flames, I believe in soul connections, soul ties, all those different things, because I have them. And when you come into that awareness, then you begin to realize that you cannot limit that. Oh, this, you can say you want to marry a Black person. You have all rights to want that, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, if the opportunity comes, don't shy away from it, you know, face it head on, if that's the case. But everybody has their preferences or whatever, but you know,
no,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, very much that.
Yeah, very much. I agree with you very much. Yeah, like saying that you have a fear of Black men, like, and just men in general, but like specifically Black men, let's just talk about it, because to be honest, there's a lot of healing between Black women and Black men that just needs to happen. Like right now, please, like I hope it happens soon, because the way that it's just going on, like it's just not cute. I won't get into it too much, but I really pray and I manifest that like there can be healing for
our race. Yeah, please. We need to, which is why people are, and real quick, which is why our women are, there's both a way that I've observed over time how we react to each other and how we treat each other, and the things that we think of each other. And there's a whole lot of historical context attached to it. There's a whole lot of history behind it, but it made me start to appreciate the Black men and Black women that are fighting the generational curses and the way that we are treating each other and the way that we interact with one another. I want to be a part of that fight, which is a part of the reason why I was like, oh, I want to marry a Black man, because I want to be a part of that fight. But I can date anybody of any race and still be a part of that fight, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't change who you are, and it doesn't change, like, just because you marry someone that's outside of your race or doesn't look like you doesn't mean you're less Black or anything like that. Like, it's a really weird thing. And like before we end this, like I just wanted to say, like, guys, like I love Love Island. Everyone knows I love Love Island, and there was a couple that I really resonated with, and that was Caleb and Justine. And like, if y'all, like, I talk about this on my YouTube channel, but like their relationship really made me happy for so long, because it was nice seeing a dark-skinned Black woman like having that love, because on that show there's a history of like, it's just in reality TV in general, Black women, specifically dark-skinned Black women, are treated horribly and are never shown love. And there's the way casting needs to do it is that they need to stop casting men who are childish and are not comfortable and showing love to Black women. They need to change that first of all. And that happened now. And like, long story short, Caleb ended up being someone that was whack as hell and just was not cute at all, like horrible person. But that just, like I said, just needs to change, and that we need to really connect like how we used to, because that just was stripped away, and it's very much rooted. So
yeah, guys, so we know it's a lot. It was a heavy conversation, but it's also very it was kind of heavy, but it's also a very important conversation that we need to have, that we should be allowed to have, and we need to have, because we need our healing, and this is one of the reasons why we're doing this, why we're doing Fine Line. We need to heal. So thank you guys for coming in. And remember, leave your comments below and get in on the discussion. Let us know what you think, what you feel, any situations you've experienced, any things you've gone through that you want to talk about. Feel free, and we're going to engage with you guys, because trust me, we care.
We care very much that. And guys, like, subscribe, click that bell button, like the video, share, keep the discussion going. Once again, this is the end of episode 5. We're your hosts, Sarah Seaside and Mercedes Nye, and we're Fine Line with Sarah and Merc. Thank you guys for joining us on our big journey. We love you guys so much, and this is
out.
I don't belong here. Stop. Bye, guys.
Bye.